Happy Friday. Happy Friday, you guys. Good to see everybody that jumped on today. I see a few of you guys are on video. A few of you are not. No big deal. If you're driving, just logging in from different parts of the country. Appreciate you jumping on this morning. If you're new onto the call today, talk to the person sitting next to you. I see some guys there from Cleveland. If you're new onto the call or here in the office, please pull out your cell phone, go to YouTube and type in KLear channel, KLear channel, and please subscribe. I upload this later today to the KLear channel, something I launched about almost a year ago now. And I'm doing my best to get to 5,000 subscribers this year. We're at, I think about 600 or so. And I appreciate you doing that. Our goal is to provide content, good content, and things that'll help you have a great life, not just be good in if you're in the business that we're in. All right, so I'm going to jump right in, guys. So today I'm going to talk about patterns. If my wife makes clothes every so often, she makes her own dresses. One time she made for a red carpet event we went to. She likes patterns. But what does it mean to us? So what I want to talk about is how patterns, understanding different organizations or business opportunities, how that can help you succeed at what you're doing in your life. So first things first, I got some emails from my financial advisor recently. I wanted to share with you one of the points that he emailed over. He talks about financial topics. And one of his topics on this list of things he sent to me this week was, it says, not a great return. A high-income American couple who retired in 2020 is projected to pay $828,000 in lifetime Social Security payroll taxes. So I'm kind of wrap your head around that. So they're going to pay $828,000 in taxes for their own Social Security. And the interesting part is when they get to the point where they may get Social Security, they will receive $849,000 in Social Security and lifetime benefits. So for every dollar paid to taxes, they're going to get $1.03 in benefits. Let that sink in for a second. Another thing in this list of things he sent me, he said a same high-income American couple who retired in 2020 will pay $223,000 in Medicare payroll taxes, and in a lifetime value of benefits, they will get $510,000. So for every dollar paid in taxes for Medicare, they're going to get $229 in return. And so the reason I bring this up is I learned at a very young age that I didn't want to depend on anyone else to build my wealth and to be taken care of when I didn't want to be, hustling, working, doing my thing every day, right? I didn't want to depend on the government or anyone else. And that's why a big reason I got into entrepreneurship early in my life, because I wanted to have financial strength and build out my finances and not depend on, taxes or Medicare or Social Security. And I'll tell you, I've seen my parents do that. And when they retired and they had all their medical issues they had, I'll tell you what, it ran out very, very quickly. So with that being said, that's a pattern, right? So one pattern is corporate America, where you can, save a bunch of money and pay taxes at a certain level of income. And then obviously you possibly could give a return on that. So my point of bringing it up is your future starts now. If you're in your 20s or you're early in your career, or maybe you just got into business and you made a transition, do not wait. Do not wait to start making some money and pushing yourself. Do not wait. The time is now. And so, I'll tell you, one of the biggest keys to being successful and a pattern that will play into your success is anticipation. Anticipation. You know, so it's interesting in business, to get your foot in the door in any organization, you have to first show up. You got to show up and you got to participate, right? And when you show up, you participate, you start learning some skills, you start growing, you start learning maybe skills outside your comfort zone. And ultimately, if you're smart, you get to those points of frustration, you get to the points of things not going your way, and you almost feel like quitting. You know, those are the points that in my eyes are the most beneficial, because it's teaching you something. It's teaching you something that you need to learn and that you have to change. And so over time, as you participate, you'll start producing some value. And in any business in the world, you're going to have to show your value before they're going to give you a chance to take on real responsibility. Now, the neat thing is in our business, if you're in our business, it's very simple to show your value by doing sales, because numbers don't lie. There's an old saying that men and women lie. Men and women lie, numbers don't. Men and women lie, numbers don't. And so the neat thing is you don't have to wait 10 years or 5 years or whatever to show your value. Because clearly, I know in my company, in my office day to day, I look at the numbers and I look at the end of the day, I look at the end of the week, and it's very clear on who provided the most value. The most sales provide the most value. And then if there's a team lead and then, there's a value where they can impact people and the value of training other people, they add value there for sure. So how their people are doing, that's a value add. But at a certain level of production, just so you know, everything kind of levels out. And people that can anticipate what's next will be able to get the most out of a lot of business. So give you an example. There's a guy by the name of Steve Ells. Steve Ells was out in the Bay Area. If you guys know the Bay Area, it's California, San Francisco area. And in that area, there's a ton of Mexican restaurants. And he liked the food. So he and his family would always go to Mexican restaurants. And, he had this crazy idea that he wanted to start a Mexican restaurant. And so, he looked around, talked to some friends and family, and he was going to, open up a restaurant in San Francisco. And he's like, but I just don't want to have a one location restaurant. I want to really expand this idea, because if I can scale it and make it big, I could be a lot of places. It could provide a, big business and help make an impact. And so he decided to move to Denver, Colorado, a place that there is no Mexican restaurants, or at least not as many as the Bay Area. And he opened up a small Mexican restaurant called Chipotle. And what he did in Denver was he took this because he recognized the pattern of people loving Mexican food, and he created a system around producing Mexican food. And he started in a place where there wasn't a lot of restaurants, and he gained a lot of traction, started building this business. And I don't know about you guys, but Chipotle is also now in Michigan and a lot of other places. And so he took a popular idea in the food industry and simply changed the location, right? And that, again, that's a pattern. And one of the patterns is understanding the viability of an opportunity. So I know in the business, again, that I'm in, I saw this when I started a program on EDM. We actually had an opportunity with a big retailer before with our current client, and they were already selling internet and TV services. And then we had an opportunity to get into a newer retailer, sell similar products and services, and sell a wireless component to it. And we already had the relationships with the client. We already had the infrastructure. We already had pretty much everything. But as long as we found implemented the right systems and had the right recruiting, the pattern that was created before, $100 million pattern, by the way, in that previous retailer, we could apply to this new retailer and get into new opportunities. Again, just the pattern, recognizing, anticipating things is key to being successful. And and it's funny because oftentimes when I've seen this in business, and I do a lot of reading. I read a couple. I have book summaries that I read every week. I read 3 to 4 of them a week on different books. It's like the Cliff Notes version. It's like 8 to 10 pages. It's super, super great because I too much ADD to read a whole book sometimes. But one of the things I was learning about when I was reading about some of these companies this week was there's a gap between people that have this vision of what they want to accomplish and their current ability, right? So if you said and I said, hey, there's this company today, right? Today, there's this small company starting tomorrow named Chipotle, and you could project 15 years later what it's doing today, and you're on the ground floor of it, you'd be an idiot not to get involved and be one of the OGs, because you already know what it's done, because it's already 50, the numbers don't lie, right? And it's funny because I see this in our business a lot. And there's this vision of where we want to go. There's this vision of what we want to have, the life we want to build, the business we want to have, the team, the organization, the skills, how we want to be in our community, how we want to be in our families. And I'll tell you, it's super important to have a very strong vision, super strong, and you keep it close, and you have constant reminders of what that vision is and where you're looking to go and how you're looking to be. And then again, there's this where you are ability wise. And I can tell you from my own experience, my ability when I was starting in business was incredibly low. I had someone on my team this week say to me, yeah, we're probably a little bit different, and I'm like, to be honest, no, we're not very different at all. I'm exactly like you. I was like new. I sucked in the field. I was up and down. I was emotional. There were so many things that make me exactly like you. Good looking. Like there are so many things in common I had with this person that said this to me. Right. And it's interesting because when your ability is low and your vision is huge, and or your standards for yourself are really high, what's going to happen is you're going to get impatient, super impatient, pretty fast sometimes. And you're going to want things to happen now. And you're not going to want to go through the pain of learning, because learning new things sucks. It doesn't make you feel great when you suck at things. Like I don't golf all the time because I'm not very good at it. I do it once in a while, right? I like to play soccer because I'm better at that. It makes me feel better when I score against old people that suck. Like there's a few of us that had a game the other night in our office, and it was like we beat them 14-4. It's like I love playing in games like that because I feel like I'm Ronaldo, right? But the reality is my kids are probably better than the other team, and they're 9, right? So, but when your ability is low, you're going to get a lot of discouragement. You're going to get a lot of rejection. You're going to get a lot of, kind of mental doubts. And that's when most people quit things. And it's not just business, it's working out, it's lots of different things. And, listen, in my opinion, there's a line where you start thinking about, do I really want to be at this level of, or this, phase for the rest of my life? Because until you grow and until you learn the skills, then you're not going to get to the next phase and things you want to accomplish to get to your vision. If there's an old saying, if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. So give an example, right? So if someone is always fundamentally losing their attitude at things, Well, just so you know, there's only a certain level of opportunity that's to come your way. People don't want to hang out with people that are, miserable, right? Most people like, oh, they'll give you a chance or two, but then they're like, yeah, hey, is that person come to the party? Nah, I didn't tell them about it, right? Because they don't want to be around people that are miserable, right? So there's this divide line, and this line is where a lot of people get to. And again, especially if you have high standards and you expect a lot of yourself, you're going to have this, definitely this impatient line gap of getting to your vision. Now, I'll tell you from my own experience, that energy and that feeling of, of discouragement, frustration, rejection, all that stuff, you're going to do one of two things with it. One, you're going to keep piling it on and feel sorry for yourself, and then eventually change a career, change an opportunity, and that stuff is going to keep moving on with you and on with you and on with you. It's going to stay around forever or for a period of time. And you may end up like a teammate or two of mine on my soccer team that's in their early 40s, late 30s, still living with their parents. And I'm not picking on that scenario. It is, I guess it's cool for some. I just don't know if everyone wants that type of, result or that long term. Now, for those of you that want to take that energy and fuel it into something that's going to help you and serve you, then channel it in a way where you think about it and then you let it go. And let it go. So there's an old saying, if you stand in a room, so I have my my tropical smoothie drink here, and the drink probably weighs, I don't know, maybe a pound, right? And if I sit here and I hold this drink out for like, I don't know, 10 seconds and I put it down, then it's pretty easy to let it go and there's no pain there. If I stand here for 10 hours and hold this 1 pound drink, 1 pound drink, maybe not even, for 10 hours straight, eventually this small drink is going to weigh a lot. Eventually it's going to cause pain and it's going to cause issues, right? And that's a small example of how you handle things in your life. If you constantly have small issues and you put them down and you put them aside and you look past them, then you're going to be able to grow and accomplish what you want to accomplish. But if you constantly hold on to the small shit, then eventually it's going to weigh you down and get in the way of what you want to do. Right? So let go of the small things. Now, again, that divide line and that opportunity there is that in things that you feel inside, it's going to either inspire you to be great or it's going to deflate you. And I encourage you to use that stuff to inspire you to be great at what you're doing. Now, another pattern that I want to talk about is using your scoreboard. So in all business, there's a scoreboard. In all sports, there's a scoreboard. Why do people keep score? Well, people want to know what success looks like, what a good job looks like, right? And so I know in sales, you can look at your own scoreboard, you can look at your own metrics, you can look at your own data and see how those compare to the average. I know one thing I did young in my sales career was I would do my own numbers at the end of the day, how many contacts, how many presentations, how many closes, my own closing percentage. And then I would look at what the office was doing on average, see if I was above, below, whatever. And then I would ask around to see people who had certain percentages that I wanted to have. And then I would take time to meet with them and ask them questions and really learn from them. A lot of times it was like some little one-liners on answering objections or closing, whatever. But why do people keep score? Well, keeping score gives you an idea of what behaviors create certain results, right? So if you have certain behaviors and you accomplish certain metrics, then ultimately you're going to be able to get a chance to, look at numbers and see where you got to improve. And so it gives you a chance to build your own superpower in my eyes. And your own superpower is understanding and having control over your results, right? So if I'm, doing great at one part of my sales process or one part of the business of training, developing, whatever, then I'm going to build myself on those things, and I'm going to build my confidence on those things. And then I'm going to sit in front of a coach and I'm going to share my metrics and say, hey, these are my numbers. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm doing. This is my averages compared to others. In my eyes, I think I should be doing this. What do you think? And again, at some points of people's careers, I don't know if you guys ever seen the old picture of like the older lady, but then the young woman. Do you guys know that picture? You guys ever see that in psychology class or whatever, where it's like a picture, and if you look at it in a certain way, you see an old woman, and then if you look at it in a different way, you see like a young woman it's like looking to the side or looking straight forward. I see a couple of you guys shaking your head, so some people know what I'm talking about. So the reason why I use a coach, and I have coaches myself, I have a few of them, I have 2, 3, like I talk to all the time. And the reason why I get a coach involved, and they look at my metrics, they look at my numbers, they look at what I'm doing, and I get their feedback, is because oftentimes I've learned that I see the older woman in the picture, and my coach sees the young lady looking to the side. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't really, what do you mean by that? And then they give me perspective. They give me, 10, 15, 20, 30 years of experience looking at business and looking at opportunities. And the key is identifying the right metrics, the right energy to put into what you're currently doing to help you have consistent growth. So again, couple major things here. Another pattern is having a scoreboard, looking at your metrics, looking at them and how they compare to the averages on the program you're on, and then looking at it with a coach and saying, hey, this is what I think. What do you think? And if you do that, I tell you, in the game of business, in the game of life, you're going to have consistent growth at what you're doing. And I think the neat thing in the business that we're in is we provide that right off the bat. Another article I read this week or last week when I was traveling was talking about how, a big problem in the workplace today is there's not enough feedback. There's not enough development. And again, I'm so blinded, I guess, because we do so much of it in what we do, like literally on a daily. I just spent 30 minutes with the core group of, top guys in my business, and I'm talking them through how they're looking at things. And I got my partner Lupe here that, we're all working together and we're helping them out. And, in this article, it just talked about 70 to 80% of companies in the world don't have any of that, don't have any feedback. The only time they have feedback is like once a year in a review or once every, quarter in a review. And then people are just doing their job and that's just it. And so again, I'm a little, blinded by, what we do and how different we are, which makes me super, super proud. All right. And I'll leave you guys with this. Any of you guys like shoes? Any guys like shoe prima donna, like high-end Nikes, or I don't know, some people like Gucci's, and I see somebody jumping by there, maybe he likes shoes too. What's up guys over there in Legacy? So I'll tell you guys another pattern, right? So there's this guy named Nick. I haven't met Nick before, but I met in LA one time. I took a course. I got an executive MBA. I don't know if you guys know that, but from the USC, from the University of Southern California, the Trojans. I was a part of when I was in LA. I took some business courses out there, and I don't know, just at that time in my life, again, I wanted to educate myself and I wanted to learn things. So it was like, I forget the amount of money it was spent, but I got this MBA, right? And I got the certificate because of it. Well, the guy who taught the class was like the head of the entire MBA program at USC. And he was talking about culture. And he told us about how he met this guy, Nick, at one point in the previous, I'm telling you, this is LA 2009. It's like 2010, 11 when I met this guy at USC. And And so tell you about this guy, Nick. The guy Nick is Nick Swinman, I think is how you say his name. And this guy was, into shoes, and he decided he was going to a local mall to get shoes, and he wasn't finding all the shoes that he wanted, and so he went to the mall, and he wasn't happy with the options. And so he went to a couple different shoe stores, and eventually in 1999, this guy Nick went into a few different shoe stores and says, "Hey, I know you got a lot of shoes you want to sell. I like shoes. I'm really into shoes, and I got a proposition for you. I'm going to take pictures of your shoes, and I'm going to put it on my website called shoesite.com. And for every shoe I sell on my website, I will then turn around and buy them from you, and then sell them on my website for a little additional cost, so I can make some money, a little bit of money." And so we got a couple retail stores, a couple shoe stores locally. One of them is a company called Footwear, where he lives, that kind of said, "Okay, cool. I'm into this idea. I'm into this, And little by little, create this win-win proposition. Pretty quickly, shoesite.com sales start rolling in. And instead of, these small little deals he's doing with these small retailers, he then went to a bigger retailer. He took pics, sold them, got a turn to profit. About 10 years later, and then among that first 3-4 years, I started building a culture, moved the company to Arizona, and he was really growing. He decided to change the name of shoesite.com to something called zapatos.com. Zapatos, because he was Hispanic and he liked the idea of shoes. That's what zapatos is, shoes in Spanish. And then eventually trimmed it down and called it Zappos. And Zappos, 10 years later, was sold to Amazon for $1.2 billion. And, from meeting this guy at USC, he was telling me a lot in this example that I read about, Zappos and how he got started and everything else. What he did at Zappos, and there's a ton of studies about Zappos. I appreciate that, Mohammed. Best customer service. And it's funny, you're setting me up, and we didn't prepare this at all. But Zappos is known for culture and customer service. They're just known for it. And they if you do a lot of reading about them or whatever, they are known for building a workplace and a culture that people love working at. And so again, a pattern and that I thought of was what I think of business, and the reason why it helped me and the pattern I'm looking at is I'm really focused on our culture. I'm really focused on and making our business and our organization something that people love showing up to. And it's not easy in the workplace to have work be fun. It's just not. It's just business, right? I mean, things, people are people, and so we're constantly looking at that. So anyway, just want to share with you a couple of fun stories, and I'll tell you that guy at USC, he had like 3 PhDs. He helped Nick apparently create his culture at Zappos, and he has a couple of books written about it. And I remember after that course I took with this guy, I remember thinking to myself, man, I feel like I know what I'm doing, but this guy, like as far as education and strength of mind and being smart, I'm like here, and this dude was like, it was like I was blown away about how intelligent this guy was in the business space and with what he had done. And oh man, but I definitely humbly walked away knowing that I had to get better, to say the least. So anyway, so just in review, guys, happy Friday. Hopefully you guys got some content today. Patterns, watch patterns, watch people, look at the business you're in, what you're doing on a daily basis. What patterns lead to success? What patterns lead to opportunity? What patterns can you look at? What people and what they're doing, what habits, again, patterns they have that will help you succeed at what you're doing. So again, happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for jumping on today. Looking forward to seeing many of you guys. I know a lot of us are traveling here in a few weeks to a conference in Florida. And I'm looking forward to having a great time. So happy Friday, kick some ass, and we'll talk to you guys very, very soon. Take care, guys.